Life Audio.
Today on Talk About That, John tells us about some odd Olympic sports that got discontinued and learns about a forbidden dance that terrified Christian parents when we were kids. Meanwhile, I ponder an old joke about traffic and reveal the story of the woman behind the most iconic line from a commercial in the 1980s. Plus a conversation about eternity and why it's a lot sooner than you think. Today's episode is not sponsored by Suede. What a nice jacket. Oops, it's ruined. But first, a word from our actual sponsor.
Johnny, it's your friendly neighborhood podcast. Let's talk about that.
How you feeling, pal?
You know what? COVID was not as bad as the first time.
I don't.
This nagging, that's the thing. COVID stuff's gone, but the way my upper respiratory works, like I have this nagging cough, and so I finally got my doctor to call in steroids. They're like, we don't normally use steroids to treat COVID, and I'm like, it's not for COVID. It's for
I think a nagging cough should be more of a. It should be like it. It should be like an. Yeah, it should annoy.
It's annoying.
It should, yeah.
It's that, it's like seal bark,
Yeah. Oh, is it one of those where
I've had some,
it honks?
Occasionally I've gotten, like real.
Curry used to cough like that if she would just be coughing, and then I would hear like a honk at the end. I was like, that's 2 weeks of my life right there. She is going down for the count.
Yeah.
You hear that one, you go, that one. Something's loose in there.
Yep.
She got a demon.
She got a demon.
Jeez. Well, I'm glad you're on the mend, buddy. Steroids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like John on steroids. I'm actually really glad that you didn't get sick, because we recorded with me probably at the prime.
Right.
Which, I think maybe you're
We kind of distanced that day. If you remember, though, we didn't
eat that day, did we?
We didn't eat, and we didn't hug it out. We didn't.
Yeah. You stayed on your side of the room.
It was very businesslike.
Yeah.
It was very
we didn't discuss anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah,
The episode had no warmth. Go back and listen. John, how would they go back and listen to old episodes?
Well, they go to our podcast, Lord. Our website that houses the podcast. It's Talk About That Podcast.
That's where they're all stored in houses. It's a warehouse we pay for. A nondescript government building somewhere.
But talkaboutthatpodcast.com. It's your one-stop shop for all your Talk About That needs.
Mm-hmm. Wherever you find podcasts are sold. Mm. Yeah. And you can become a patron of the show if you go there too.
You can.
You can support the show. Upper right hand, there's a little button that says support. That's how you get ad-free content. Down below, click on the little voice bubble, or just send an email to hello at talkaboutthatpodcast.com. We love hearing from our listeners.
Yeah.
Whenever I see the charting thing, I don't know how accurate they are anymore, because I get those little charting emails.
Right, we're not really hooked up to that.
It's always anymore. Like, we're number 300 in South Sudan,
right,
in comedy podcasts, and you're like, I don't even know how to feel about this.
It always shows that we came down a few notches or whatever. Yeah. We used to have this charting thing, and then we changed platforms.
Oh, right.
Somehow we're still getting, I think, just a few streams or something goes to that chart.
Yeah.
And it's like,
people love us in Botswana, we find out.
Yeah.
You go, oh, we're down 12 places in
It's exciting
Mongolia,
to me that people listen.
Outer Mongolia.
Yeah.
Is there still an Outer Mongolia and an Inner Mongolia?
Johnny, I'm not up to speed.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you remember that there being an Outer Mongolia when you were in geography class? This is Outer Mongolia. You go, my goodness, that's I don't like that.
I mean, to us,
right,
all of Mongolia is outer.
Yeah.
From here.
Right.
And to them, this is the outer United States.
If you're in Outer Mongolia, that's a trip.
Ooh.
I don't know. The Olympics just wrapped up, John. How did you feel overall? I know there was a lot of people that wanted to just only focus on the controversies, but I thought it was so fun. And we talked about it a little bit last week, but one thing we did not discuss was the brand new event of breaking.
Yeah.
They didn't call it breakdancing, call it breaking.
I'm going to imagine that breakdancing maybe was already trademarked or something.
Maybe. And I don't understand how they got it in, but still no pickleball. It's like you got breaking in, but no pickleball yet. Pickleball's the number one sport. It's the fastest growing sport in the world.
Yeah. But, and why other forms of dancing aren't considered a sport.
Salsa.
Right.
Ballroom.
How that kind of dance. Now, I understand it's very acrobatic.
Lambada. Remember the forbidden dance, lambada? Wasn't that was like a huge fear thing of the parents, like, oh, all of our kids are going to be doing the lambada.
Is it lambada?
Yeah, it was the lambada. It was a very sexual dance.
Is that what it was called?
There's a lot of pelvic stuff going on in that
feel
dance.
like it was called something else.
It's called the lambada, the forbidden dance.
I'm looking up forbidden dance.
Look up forbidden dance. I guarantee it's going to be the lambada.
You're right, lambada. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
There was a whole movie about it, starring. Hold on. Who was
Jimmy Lambada.
Jimmy.
I mean, it's a natural fit.
It was.
Yeah, I mean, but why not clogging? Like, what makes dancing a sport?
Yeah, because tap dancing and clogging, you really could measure, like, you could put sensors on the floor and say, like, they really are in stride. The contact, you could tell how many times they contacted the floor per second or whatever.
It sounds so entertaining.
You don't want to see that? Have you ever been to a clogging show?
You know what? We used to do youth convention.
I mean, you're from Nashville. I mean, that's the thing.
At the Upperland Hotel, we used to do youth convention around Thanksgiving.
Right.
The clogging convention was at the same time.
Oh, so would you hear him?
No.
Would it be?
But I'd see him walking around. Like we would want to.
You'd hear him walking around.
We would flirt with the clogging girls. You know
Hold
what I'm saying?
on.
Come on. Oh, we would flirt with any girls, Johnny.
That's true.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Desperate, smelly teens.
I loved the Olympics
Just
this year.
flirting with any girl that comes by.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I read a quote, that said, any man is already halfway in love with any woman who listens to him.
That's really true.
Yeah.
That should be quote of the day right there.
Yeah. That was your quote. No.
Because if you just will listen to me, if you agree with me, it's in the bag.
Oh.
It's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how insecure we are.
I'm like, this girl gets it.
It's like she looked my direction.
Yeah.
I remember
Have you ever had somebody agree with you really hard though, and you start losing respect for them? You're like, that's too much.
Yeah.
That's too much.
Yeah, because I don't believe in myself.
Yeah,
that
I don't
much.
even think I was right.
Right.
Something's wrong with you.
Like you need to rethink your judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You shouldn't want to be a member of a club of which I'm
right
deciding membership.
Yeah.
I think it said something like that. So, but I'm adapting the expression.
Yeah, Paul Reiser wrote a book, comedian Paul Reiser, and he talked about people who have been married for any length of time, if they're happily married, and you say, how did you know she was the one? Invariably, the guy will say, she was the first woman to call me on everything. So, like, what you want really is somebody to be a worthy foil. You don't want them to be a nag or completely contrarian, but you want them to go, like, agree with you in public and go, I have your back. And then when you get in the car, they go, you're so full of crap. Like, you need that. You need somebody to know who you are, love you for who you are, but also, like, call you out when you need it.
I like my wife so much that I do sometimes. I don't enjoy arguments. Don't get me wrong. But I find myself having immense respect for her ability to meet me in the middle of that moment with the argument she brings. Because yes, I want a worthy adversary right then. I don't want to feel like I'm punching down and hurting somebody, right? But
so you punch Laura.
That's metaphorically.
Okay.
Yeah, with my words.
Right.
But I want someone who's that.
So you're verbally abusive with Laura.
I'm not.
And you need to know that she can take that punch.
I want someone who's stronger than me, I guess. And I have that. So.
So you're saying Laura's been doping.
I'm saying.
The Olympics, man, it's tough.
It's tough.
What I was going to say about the breaking, though,
Yeah.
back to breaking. This is a wild one because I didn't see any other competitors. The only one we've seen, because unless you just watched every event.
Is the Australian
is
one?
the Australian who was clearly, she didn't know what she was doing.
No.
It was really laughable. There's so many memes now.
Yeah, Fallon did the whole thing on it.
It was so bad that they have already said it will not be in the 2028 Olympics.
Like the category.
They've already made a sweeping. We're not going to have it back.
Oh my gosh, they got rid of breaking.
They got rid of it. I've read it more than one place, so I don't think I think it's a real thing that they just said, you know what? And I was just thinking, what a weird ride.
You took away the Olympics for all the real breakdancers.
And I almost feel bad for this woman, except for she shouldn't have been in the Olympics.
How did the country?
Yeah.
Isn't that on the country at some point?
Jermaine, what's his last name? The guy from Fly to the Conchords comedy duo.
Yeah.
Okay, so Fly to the Conchords, they're from New Zealand, and they said somebody was commenting on the bad breakdance. They said, honestly, having lived there, she is the best dancer in Australia. They're basically defending her, saying like, no, she's pretty good for where she comes from.
That's great.
So maybe she just got through. Yeah, maybe. I don't know how. It's one of those things of like, Curry said she saw a story the other day about an Olympian. This was probably, actually, I think she said it was 2000. So I thought it was going to be like the 50s or something because it was such a wild story. But it was a swimmer from one of these like countries, Slovenia, Slovakia, one of those like formerly Soviet countries. Mm-hmm. And they got through on some technicality. They had only taken up swimming, and they were like, I'm going to butcher the story because Curry told it to me, and I didn't hear all the details
Curry.
of it. But basically, they didn't know how to swim. They knew how to tread water, but they read up on it. They knew the event was coming up, and they basically went and trained with some people, and they said, tell me what you would do here, blah, blah, blah. They knew how to stand, they knew how to whatever. And they got in a heat. And they were going to get destroyed because they could barely swim the length of the pool. But the other two, there was two other people in the race, and those two people defaulted. So they made it through the first heat by just being able to swim one length of the pool. And they said it took forever. This was 2000, she said.
Oh my gosh.
I need to figure out what country it was. We need to look it up so we'll know for next week. But anyway, of course, the next race they got just obliterated. Yeah. But what a wild, that needs to be a movie.
Like you advanced.
Yeah. You made it through a first heat.
It wouldn't matter what it was. That's how I would feel if I made it to the Olympics. Like not just imposter syndrome, but like, this is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And this is a matter of time before the entire world's going to see me fail.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's ever been another sport, though, well, whatever you call breaking, that they go, you know what, we gave it a shot, but it's not coming back. Like, what sports have they gotten rid of? I mean, I'm sure there's been some where they go, because it seems like they keep adding.
Andrew had some trivia at that event we had about it. There was, I forget which one. It was something like, I don't know, like an egg throw or something. Like it was some...
Throwing an egg?
I don't know.
The egg put.
I mean, it was... Here, we can just look it up, Johnny.
Oh, yeah. Look up egg throw.
Events canceled by Olympics. No, that didn't work. And it's telling me all the times the Olympics themselves were canceled.
Jeez, John. This is...
Okay, 7quirkyhistory.com. 7 quirky discontinued summer Olympic events. Hot air balloon racing.
It seems like a disaster. It just would take forever.
Tug of war.
And to see tug of war seems like it should have stayed.
Seems like a good one to me.
I like it.
Painting contests.
Huh. Wait, hold on.
That's what it said.
Painting?
Uh-huh.
What year did they do painting in the Olympics?
Let me get down here. So chariot racing, circa 684 BC to AD 393.
Okay.
So the original.
Some Ben-Hur stuff right there.
The original stuff. Chariot racing. What in the world? Pancration? A mix between boxing and wrestling was one of the more brutal ancient Olympic sports. There were only 2 rules. You could not
killed.
You could not gouge out your opponent's eyes, and you couldn't bite.
Yeah.
Hot air balloon racing, 1900.
What was the sport called? What is it?
Pankration. It looks like pancration.
Pancration.
But I don't know if it's ration.
Pancration.
I don't know.
Pancration.
Live pigeon shooting. Another that debuted in 1900.
How do they get the pigeons to hold the guns? What in the world?
John, that's why we have Johnny on this show.
That's why you discontinued that.
Tug of war, 1900 to 1920.
Yeah.
And then we had pistol dueling.
No.
1906, 1908.
I can see why that one would be gone. They just run out of competitors.
IOC doesn't
like it goes down by 50% every Olympics.
Wow, that's interesting. Painting, yeah. Starting in 1912 in Stockholm.
Can you imagine?
Continuing to 1948 in London. Art competitions in painting, sculpture, music, architecture. It's basically like fine arts.
Yeah.
They had like a fine arts theater.
Olympic painters.
And that's the
I wonder if it's
article.
a timed category or yeah.
I mean, I could probably tell you here.
Olympic painting?
I might guess it's by quality.
Yeah, but art is very subjective. Whereas like running a race is not subjective.
Yeah, American Walter Winans. Sorry, jump to the top of the page. Internet. I don't know if the people can hear that.
Yeah, I can hear it in my ears, so maybe.
Okay. Well, anyway.
Walter Winans?
Walter Winans won a gold medal in shooting at the 1908 Olympics and a gold medal in sculpture in 1912. So literally he entered like...
Renaissance man.
Yeah. And then Hungarian Alfred
What if he made
Hajos.
What if he made a sculpture and then shot it?
He shot it.
They put it out on a field somewhere and go, see if you can take the head off of that thing.
Hungarian Alfred Hajos won 2 gold medals in swimming in 1896 and a silver in architecture at the Paris Olympics in 1924. That would be 30 years later. He won an architecture medal. Wow. I wish they'd bring these back. I think, Johnny, what if they had a comedy category?
Bro, I want tug of war back. Tug of war makes the most sense.
Yeah.
But it would probably be a lot of chemicals floating back and forth between these, because it's just a pure strength thing. So it's going to be.
There's some strategy to tug of war.
Well, sure, but I don't know.
Hey, speaking of strategy.
Yeah.
Did you know that we have a lot of people who...
What's your strategy?
Who like to strategize ways to give you things you need.
Oh.
And, yeah.
Man.
Let's take a minute and hear a word from a few of our sponsors. You didn't give me a lot to work with that time. I got to get us into this thing.
You should have been
over there.
You should have been like, what's a tug of war? Commerce. And then you could get into the...
Maybe you should start pitching into those.
I think you're right.
But you'll have to watch the clock.
Yeah, but I don't like doing that.
I know. So
okay,
someone's got to keep us on track here. How do I get back on track?
There's you. There's me. Here's you. Sorry, Matt Foley.
That's great. John, it's about that time.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I think it's time.
John's quote of the week.
It's the quote of the week. It's a little segment we call They Talked About That. It's another C.S. Lewis. Again, I do some daily C.S. Lewis stuff that I get to my emails. So good all the time. I share with the group a lot.
Yeah.
You'll get that from me in the group. So this is more of a passage. But this is from Screw Tape Letters. So remember, if you're listening to Screw Tape Letters, it's written from the perspective of a demon. Mm-hmm. So when they say the enemy, they're talking about God.
Yeah.
Okay. The humans live in time, but our enemy destined them to eternity. He therefore, I believe, wants them to attend chiefly to 2 things, to eternity itself and to that point of time which they call the present. For the present is the point at which time touches eternity. Of the present moment and of it only, humans have an experience analogous to the experience which our enemy has of reality as a whole. In it alone, freedom and actuality are offered them. He would therefore have them continually concerned either with eternity, which means being concerned with him, or with the present, either meditating on their eternal union with or separation from himself, or else obeying the present voice of conscience, bearing the present cross, receiving the present grace, giving thanks for the present pleasure. But I thought that idea for the present is the point at which time touches eternity. Yeah. Wow. I mean, that's a line.
Yeah.
Even for C.S. Lewis, that's a line.
That's a humdinger.
Yeah. The present is the point at which time touches eternity. And the idea then, and we talked about this at lunch a little bit on other points, but the idea then that so much of our time is spent either in past or future, right? And the fact that he distinguishes between eternity and future.
Yeah.
That eternity is happening now, right? So in the present, when I'm in the present, I'm paying attention to what is eternal. And there's a liturgical prayer from the Book of Common Prayer that I read. I pray this somewhat every day in some way, but I used it Sunday, another part of it, where as we pass through things that are temporal, may we not lose the things that are eternal. Right? And so like seeing eternity in your present, that you're passing through a temporal thing right now, but it is eternal life is not a future life. Eternal life is present. So,
right, it's already ongoing now.
Yeah.
No, that's good. CS, that guy's gonna make it.
I think he's gonna make it.
I don't care what you say.
Screw Tape Letters, man.
I've read excerpts from it. I don't think I've ever sat down and read all of Screw Tape Letters.
Yeah, that's one of the ones. I haven't read all of his books all the way through, but I've certainly read Screw Tape, and it's small. I mean, it's not like huge or anything.
What was that supposed to mean?
And you could get it. You could
handle it. I think you could handle it.
No, I mean, I think it's a good thing. It's such an interesting take.
Yeah.
You know, and of course, you would think again. This is an Anglican theologian professor, right? So the idea that he's writing from such a spiritual, we would consider to be spiritual warfare, right? This alternate reality,
right?
I think that it generally falls more into charismatic
Right.
evangelical circles.
He's being
for
more
us.
mystical than you might think he would be.
Right.
Yeah, he's deep. There's more to listen. People are more than one thing. CS was deep.
Yeah. Yeah.
You gave me your cough just then. You coughed and then I coughed. It's
saw
like a
that.
yawn.
Mine's
I think
more-
it's odd that a yawn can spread. It's contagious.
Did you know it can spread between dogs and humans?
Yeah. No, I've had it happen.
Yeah.
I've had it happen.
Does your dog yawn after you or you after him?
Both.
I think I yawn after my dog.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever spread my yawn to my dog.
Right. That'd be
They're not very susceptible. Susceptible? Never mind.
I will say
Analogous? Wait.
my dog
Mm-hmm.
yawns with contentment a lot.
Yeah.
You ever see that?
Dogs stretch a lot too.
Yeah.
When your dog stretches, do you say big stretch? I think it's a rule.
I think we do say big stretch.
Yeah.
Does
I
your-
wonder if that's the thing, because I wonder what came first, the internet or everyone realizing we all say big stretch when our dog stretches. Isn't it odd that we all say it?
Yeah.
Like, do you think we say it because I've seen people talk about it?
Well, right.
But I think I've always said it.
But what else would you say?
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? That's a boy. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It makes sense. It's what he's doing.
If I was a yoga instructor, it would be really hard not to say big stretch.
Big stretch.
With the whole class. Just the whole class, you just go, guys, we're going to go down into a downward dog. Big stretch. As they do it, and they go, this guy's creepy.
Laura always says every time Ace comes in from outside, if it's raining or something, he shakes,
Mm-hmm.
she's like, I would give anything to be able to, imagine how great that would feel to be able to shake your body like that.
Yeah.
Just kind of just get rid of everything. And humans can't shake like a dog.
Yeah.
But it would be
it's true.
so it'd wake you up. You
Yeah.
wouldn't need a coffee anymore. Just do what they do.
Yeah, when so Daisy gets in the bed with us, and then we'll be like cuddling, and I'm scratching her and petting her, and then she gets up, and then she shakes all the loose fur off of her from where and it's just like a plume. I'm just like, hey, appreciate it, Pigpen. I've loosened it up for you. Now you've just sent it straight into my lungs
See,
and bloodstream.
Our allergies can't do that. That's why we have a hypoallergenic dog.
Must be nice.
Well, he's a poodle.
Yeah,
It's not like it's an exotic breed, Bichon poodle.
it costs a lot of money, doesn't it?
No.
How much did it cost, John?
Johnny,
I want you to tell the
these are
listening
not
audience.
things that we talk about in public.
$1 million. John, let's go back. It's time for Johnny's old jokes. This is 2 street jokes that I want to tell today. They're short, and it's some of my favorite kind of humor, and I'll explain later. But here's the first one. A man's driving home from work. He gets a call from his wife. Hey, sweetie, what's wrong? She said, just be careful coming home. There's somebody going the wrong way on the interstate. The guy says, one, there's hundreds. And then the other one is, these 2 pilots are in a plane. They're landing. They're approaching. And then the one looks to the other and says, these runways are really short. And then the other pilot says, yeah, wide though. That's the joke.
So
They're coming in the wrong way, John.
okay, I got you. They're coming in the side.
They're coming in the side of the runway.
Yeah, okay, I got you. I thought that's what it meant.
Yeah. So basically, it's the idea that it's the same with planes, trains, and automobiles. It's one of my favorite kind of things where they're going the wrong way in planes, trains, and automobiles, and the guy's going, "You're going the right way," and then he goes, "Wait a minute, how does he know where we're going?" Thank you, and he waves.
Right.
I just think someone being confidently wrong
Yeah.
is really funny. It's one of my favorite concepts. Like if you ever watch the movie Spinal Tap, they are both flailing in their career with a diminishing audience and somehow also arrogant.
Right.
Like there's a real aloof quality to them. Like they still are behaving like rock stars.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really funny. I love the idea of somebody being confidently wrong.
Yeah. A lack of self-awareness is very funny.
Yeah, it's very funny. So anyway, one, there's hundreds. It's so good. Such a perfect joke.
Yeah, that's good.
And also I think it speaks to, if you're going to get into the moral of, the idea of like, no one ever stops to think like, and especially in Christian culture, we think about the idea of one person going against 100 people. We're going against the stream. Culture's going the wrong way and we're going the right way. And so we start to think of ourselves, if you think of somebody but sometimes somebody's going the wrong way, or sometimes there's a consensus because it's the right thing.
Yeah.
So I think if we do nothing but say like, well, look, I must be doing something right.
Right.
I'm going the wrong way down the interstate. I must be doing something right.
Right.
Devil's messing, God's blessing. You're like, no, I think we want you to go the right way on the interstate. You don't need to be a contrarian about everything is what I guess I'm saying.
Yeah.
Being a contrarian just for its sake is not holy.
Right.
Sometimes it's silly.
Yeah. Contrarianism is not a spiritual ethic.
Now you can look at cultural things that are going the wrong way and we say, we're going to be a counter to that. That's true. That's true of Christianity.
Right.
But the idea that we're just going to be a counter, we're going to be against everything, and that'll prove that we love God. I think there's a little bit of that's become a little bit of a toxic thing.
Well, I think true Christianity, even as the Bible describes it, would not be necessarily always counter to what you see in the world or the culture. It would be doing it correctly.
Yeah.
Meaning the world's not against the idea of feeding the poor, right? The church should be the best
Right.
at doing that.
Right.
It's not counter to it, and no one's going to say don't feed the poor, usually.
Right.
But it seems sometimes you hear more from the church now about being against the poor, right, than for. But actually, we should be caring for the poor better than the world could. Mm-hmm. We should, I think we shouldn't be just against people coming into our country, right? I mean, that's a part of our history and all the things. We should be finding the best way to do that in a way that honors Christ.
Right.
And so, yes, it could be done wrong by the world and by the culture. So how could it be done in a way that honors Christ?
We're going to figure it out today.
Yeah.
But first, John, we're going to go This Week in History. We call it Talk About Then. I feel bad that my runway joke kind of fell flat with you.
Yeah,
Did you just not get it?
No,
Help me.
I did. It wasn't as funny as the first
These
one.
runways are short. Wide, though.
Yeah, no, I got it. I was trying to see if there's going to be a little more. I got it. I mean,
It's a wide runway.
Comedians
They're bad. They're bad pilots, John.
Comedians, though, you're now holding the audience accountable for whether or not I got the joke.
No, it's a funny joke.
Which
You blew it.
Maybe that was the telling of it or something.
John, this week, 1962, a mail truck in Massachusetts is robbed of $1.5 million in cash. It was a record known as the Great Plymouth Mail Truck Robbery. It was up to that time the largest cash heist of all time. Two gunmen dressed as police officers, as you do, brandishing guns, stopped a U.S. mail truck that was delivering $1.5 million in small bills from Cape Cod to the Federal Reserve Bank in Boston, Mass. They tied up the driver and guard, this is my favorite part, and drove off in the truck, stopping to drop off money in various places.
Huh.
So I guess maybe they thought this will not arouse suspicion if we still make a few of the drops.
Interesting.
The truck and its two tied-up occupants were later abandoned shortly before the 5-year statute of limitations was to expire, so they were just about to get away with it. 4 men and 1 woman were indicted for the robbery. There's a woman on this crew.
Wow.
It's very evolved, don't you think? A 1962 robbery team?
I assume they were all women. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, here we go.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I assumed too much. Violent crime, you just assume. I always assume it's a man. I just assume if somebody dressed up as a cop and brandished a gun, I'm like, that's a dude. Okay. Okay, so they were indicted. But one of the defendants disappeared right before the trial, was never found. The other defendants were acquitted at trial.
Huh.
The money has never been recovered.
Well, I wonder where that one guy is.
Spending the money.
He's off with the money.
Boston mobster Vincent Fat Vinny Teresa.
That's a horrible nickname for that guy.
Well, it's Vincent, so it's Fat Vinny. He claimed in his book, My Life in the Mafia, that John Red Kelly planned the robbery.
Okay.
So, I don't know. John, this week, 1880, the largest Gothic cathedral, called the Cologne Cathedral, was completed. Its reconstruction had begun in August 14th. How many years earlier?
This was 1880?
This was 1880. This blew my mind.
I'm going to guess it's like 50 years.
632 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I saw a picture of the building, and it is unbelievable, but you go, come on, guys.
Wow.
Like, if you get into let's say you're doing a home remodel, and you get into year, let's say 550.
Right. At some point.
A lot of us have died. I've left blueprints for my great-grandchildren. Yeah. They picked up but at some point you go, right. I don't know if the second pool is going to happen.
Yeah.
Let's give up on it. 632 years?
Yeah. My wife thinks I take a long time on a
We really love our cathedrals, don't we?
Boy,
it's something else, man. Good grief. Yeah, it started in 1248, that project. Okay, John. A couple of ones to close out. This one is we've never done this before. Never done it before.
Okay.
This is a talk about soon, not talk about then, because this is this week in 2126.
Okay.
The end of the world, ? Because the Swift-Tuttle comet is approaching Earth. It has a 1 in 10,000 chance of colliding with Earth. If this were to occur, it would probably end civilization. So that is
a 1 in how many chance?
a 1 in 10,000 chance of colliding with Earth. You think you like your chances?
I feel pretty good about that.
That's 100 years. So we have 100 years until this Swift-Tuttle thing is just going to...
I plan on living.
It'll be in the news. I think we get about 20 years out. We're going to see every day in the news. It's going to be like the Mayan calendar thing of like Swift-Tuttle on a collision course.
Yeah. Well, we should know by then, right? If it's close enough to know. I mean, the odds should be easier to figure the closer it gets.
I don't know. We had a good run. Anyway, something to look forward to.
Interesting.
John, finally, born this week, 1907, died in 1995, but born this week, 1907, Dorothy McHugh. Do you know who Dorothy McHugh was? She was an American dancer.
Okay.
She was an ex-Ziegfeld Follies dancer. She also appeared in a medical device commercial proclaiming, "I've fallen and I can't get up."
Okay. There you go.
For which she was paid. John, you want to guess what she was paid?
$300.
$60.
No, my gosh.
I hope she got residuals or something. She's on TV every 5 minutes when we were kids.
Yeah, and it's still, people are still saying
People
it today.
still quote it. It's part of the culture.
Yeah, in our generation. I doubt the kids.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
She also worked as an artist's model and posed for illustrations in Saturday Evening Post. She acted in the film Artists and Models, 1937, starring Jack Benny and Ida Lupino, and was a model at the 1939 New York World's Fair.
Wow.
So she was quite the looker in the early days, and then she became like the status symbol for what an elderly person who was frail should be.
Yeah.
She needs a little help.
Yeah.
She's fallen. She can't get up.
Was Med Alert or something like that?
Medic Alert. Yeah. I think it was Medic Alert. Maybe it wasn't Med Alert. Because Medic Alert makes the bracelets that tell you, like, I'm allergic to penicillin, don't, whatever.
Was hers a necklace or something?
Hers was like a little button you push.
Yeah.
Because you shout into it. They go, yes. There's an operator on the other end, I think.
Emergency pendant.
Yeah. But maybe it's the same company, Medic Alert. I always thought it was Medic Alert. But anyway, that's, yeah. So, happy birthday, Dorothy McHugh, and rest in peace.
Man.
Yeah.
There you go. I feel like we learned so much in this show.
We're not an educational podcast.
No.
I want to state that.
No.
But we're close.
Yeah, I mean, you need to verify everything.
We're analogous, if you will, to a educational podcast.
I want to say this.
Yeah.
I use chat.
Just like instant message?
No, Chat GPT.
Okay. You said GBT. Chat.
What did I say?
You said GBT.
No.
Chat GPT.
GPT is what I said.
What does GPT stand for?
That's a great question.
I stumped you.
Do you know?
Chat GPT. Global Positioning Technology.
No, you're making up stuff. I don't know. And I will say this. Chat's wrong a lot.
Right.
Like for this whole AI.
Are you sure that you're not wrong?
I'm positive. And I will argue with Chat. I'll be like, okay, literally you just
you're not supposed to do that. Somebody taught me prompts for Chat. They were teaching me, a comedian friend of mine, and they were like, you need to affirm it and go, that's great. Now can you do this? Like you need to stay friendly with it.
Why?
I don't know why, but he does it, and he goes, it works for him. Because he uses it every day for coding. He'll always be like, hey, that's great, but what I really wanted was this. He goes, you got to affirm it. I go, all right. So you're coming at it, and that's what's going on. You're developing an adversarial relationship with our robot overlords.
It's just lying to me. I'll be like, at some point, I've spent now 30 minutes trying to get this, queue to go through, and then I'll be like, you gave me this information. Where did it come from? Are you just making stuff up? And be like, sorry about that. I was making it up.
Yeah, like
it'll just say,
oh no.
Like it'll try to explain itself.
Are you sure you're not on another, like a Chat GPT knockoff?
Chat GPT.
Chat GPT.
No, I'm not.
Frat GPT. It's just a bunch of fraternity brothers.
Saying out there, guys, this is a public service announcement. Like,
don't trust Chat.
Don't trust everything Chat says.
You know what you should do is hire a regular author.
Yeah.
Who works for a living and writes words.
Right.
I know one. His name, John Carl Driver.
Guys, let me tell you something. You can get a deal. I will write for a steal right now.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm actually very busy. But I did see in a contract this week for the first time.
Yeah.
I've never seen it in a publishing contract where they set a limit to the number of words that AI is allowed to write, that the author agrees to not use AI over like a certain percentage for the part of the book.
And I wonder if that percentage will just change, but it'll never be out of the system. Well, they're always going to be now because I guess they're afraid you would just type in, write me a book. And they go, I turned in a book.
Yeah. I guess it's probably the honor system too, because I'm not sure how they would tell. And
Right.
I don't use chat to write. Like, I've never used chat to write. Like, I'll use chat really for search engine stuff because
Right.
I'm not going to, it's just a way stronger search engine, but it's also
And you've
one you
used it to
can't
create
trust.
like outlines from something you've already written, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you've done that before.
You can take a book and put it in you've already written and say, hey, go in and find, even instead of me having to go back through the book,
Yeah.
Find me 20 quotes from this character of the book,
Yeah.
and it'll go find it. It's pretty crazy on that. But
how-
even then, it'll be wrong sometimes.
Yeah, how
have
can
to-
you trust it?
Well, that's the good news is I'll say, and put the page numbers.
Oh.
If you give it,
You're asking for
if you give it that, then
chapter
I can
and
go
verse.
verified now, and I'm not just flipping through blindly. So I use it kind of to get me started on research,
Mm-hmm.
We're in the middle. But
That's where we're at now. Talk to me in a year, you're going to be like, no, chat's
writing everything.
chat's the future.
Chat would work me out of a job, so I don't want that. You know what I'm saying? I feel that chat could work editors out of jobs for real.
Yeah.
So and I know a lot of editors, and I hope that
They're
does not
scared.
happen.
They're shaking in their boots.
Writers, I'm not sure because I still feel that it's going to be a while before it can put the human touch on.
Yeah, because creativity is a different thing. It's a different energy, and you can see when something's not. It's a little bit wrong. It's like a spam email. There's something a little bit weird about
Right.
it, and I think also that chat is taking everything that's in the internet of our creative culture, and it's just kind of rewording it, but it's not thinking independently yet.
Right.
Now we may get to that point where it's going, hey, I got a few joke ideas.
Right.
And maybe the one day they'll be funny, but I've never seen chat write a good joke yet.
No.
Because we've done it. We tried to write jokes the other night on it. My buddy and I was like, these are awful.
I did use it to help me write some what would you call them? Sports colloquialisms.
Oh boy.
Because I needed something original.
Yeah.
Right. And I knew I needed it to be something like,
You can be my wingman anytime.
yeah, I needed something.
You need a hook.
Yeah. And so I didn't use the ones that it gave me, but it gave me an idea of something. Like
Yeah.
I used a word. Okay, I could take that word and I spun off of it. I was like, write me 10 of them, and they were not great.
Right.
But they were, again, a good starting point for something. So I think it's a good brainstorming thing, but just you can't live in the storm, Johnny.
No, you can't. No, you can't. Don't try to live in the storm.
Don't do it, guys.
No.
Come on out of the storm.
Some of you guys are in a storm.
In the eye of the storm.
But that's it's okay.
You think? Well, as long as you keep moving with the storm.
Right.
Come on now, guys.
Huh?
If you keep moving with the storm, you stay in the eye.
It's like a fiery furnace. You're in there, but God's in there with you, maybe?
You're the apple of God's eye in the storm. Wait.
I don't know what's happening.
It's a lot of
Apologize to anybody who's in a storm right now.
Yeah.
We don't want to minimize your
A
experience.
literal storm. But if you were,
Yeah.
and you still had your phone.
Right.
But you could still access probably the podcast.
Unless the towers are down because of the storm.
Maybe. But what if you've already downloaded it?
That's true.
If you
They're
know
all
what,
set.
go into your settings and make sure it sets to download
If you only have like 17% battery, use that last bit of battery.
to listen to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people would be like attending to their family. Not you. Pop in those headphones and tune it out.
You got to keep your spirits high.
You do.
In moments like that.
100%.
And what if we say something that's key, integral, if you will, to your survival? Because we are analogous to an education podcast.
We are analogous. Maybe we'll break in with weather alerts. You don't know that we won't.
You've never seen us do it up to now, and sure, it's pre-recorded, but sure.
That's true. A weird pre-recorded weather alert. Sarasota, take cover. And they're like, when was this recorded? Is this now? Thanks to Sarasota, if you're listening.
Appreciate you guys. Yeah.
Appreciate that. The whole Bradenton area. Lovely part of the country.
Yeah. I'm glad there's an airport that Southwest flies into now there. That really helps.
I'm flying to Tulsa this weekend. Beautiful Tulsa.
Yeah.
And then from there to Chicago because my agent doesn't own a Globe. My poster comes out with tour dates, and my tour is still not like a traditional tour. I book where people book me. So it's like, I don't think people understand that I'm not famous enough just to route everything yet.
Right.
So it's like, I have a show in Alaska Anchorage, Alaska. And then the day before, this college booked me. They're like, could he come do our symposium? We're doing a thing. We want him to come do like a comedic thing. And I go, I'd love it. Well, it's in Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
The day before. And I said, yeah. Because I'm like, yeah, I need the work. Let's go. But now I put that on my poster. You're like, you're going from Texas to Alaska? Who books you? And I'm like, I know it looks stupid. And that's because it is. It's super stupid. But look, I'm working. That's something. Yeah. You got to stay busy out here.
You got to.
You try to.
Globe-trotting.
It's important.
Yeah, it's important.
It's fun.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, I don't know. Listen, I'm going to keep moving, John.
You got to keep moving. Or what do they say?
What?
Don't they say something about keep moving or you die or something? I don't know.
Rolling Stone gathers no.
Wait, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you know Mick Jagger's 80?
No.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
You stop it.
It was at the Olympics. He's 80, and he's still prancing around, just doing his
I saw
thing.
him with Fallon, that's right.
Yeah.
He had a photo op with Fallon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I heard
Which
that.
they were talking about. They had the USA thing, and they were like, rooting on our... I was like, he's not from the USA.
He's British,
yeah. Come on, Mick. I mean, he has made most of his money here.
Yeah.
He probably has a few places here.
I would imagine. He's doing okay.
All right, he can be an honorary.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And you guys can be honorary as well, man. You're a member of this podcast, and we appreciate you listening every week. It means a lot to us. So, hey, check out the website. Check out JonnieW.com for more tour dates. And check us out next week here on
Talk About That.